look at the macro projection to know where we are on a larger iteration. So again, this is 2013 to 2021 macro, and then our current 2021 to 2026. That obviously places us in blue box. There's no questions, we are in blue box. Zooming in on that blue box, you have basic fractal landmarks of C, wedge, wedge, S curve, and you find your lowest point V. Our current C, wedge, wedge. Now we just are looking for S curve and V to complete this iteration. So now from this perspective, we are still looking to finish by the end of the year, confirming with our one-to-ones. Our one-to-ones are going to track September, October, November, and December. We're almost through 9 months of perfect landmarks out of a 12-month cycle. 9 months out of a 12-month cycle. Zooming in on that macro position of blue box, or 2020 to 2021, zooming in on that again, this is your macro position of tripeak. What is it? It is basic fractal landmarks. You have a C top, a wedge wedge, an S curve, and a V. Same thing with our current landmarks, right? We're just zooming in on this area right here. This area right here. Basic fractal landmarks confirm that we are now just looking for the rest of this. That is your fall and January bottom. I do believe that AMC is going to be a January bottom if it continues the way that our one-to-ones and everything shows us. Something can happen sooner, so we're always open to the possibility. Um, so this is if you're still bullish. And no, I don't mean it like that. If you are bullish, this is the thing. You're already now 10 months through. This landmark here, this spring rejection, and then a lower high off the right side, these are the landmarks that make tripeak. Since we're now off the right side of the summer, the red box landmarks, we're not even in tripeak anymore. We're moving into S curve, which is the fall and January landmarks. So whether you think it's tripeak or you don't think it's tripeak, tripeak is now behind us. Forward tracking, if your bullish possibility here is that it just doesn't make an all-time low and you make a higher low and it breaks out from there. What won't change on whatever your belief of macro position is the yearly cycle that they play out these landmarks. So no matter what, moving forward, even if you think it's going to be a higher low or if you think it's going to be a lower low for AMC, you are still looking for this October bottom, a November peak. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. You don't want to compare ITMFs as far as levels go. We're just looking at it for landmarks. So a low point, a high point, and then finish in December or January. That's it. You only have October and November trend, this uptrend, before you finish this yearly cycle. So at this point, it doesn't matter if you think it's tripeak or if you don't think it's tripeak. What I wouldn't do is I wouldn't be tracking I wouldn't be tracking May of 2024. I don't believe, from a Jan perspective, that landmark's already behind us. From a macro position perspective, you wouldn't track that area for anything. Not for, I mean, you can use it for landmarks. Do you have a C top? Yes. It looks like this. It looks like that. It looks like this. Great. What I wouldn't do is try to track still January 22nd or post January channel, because there's the rules of trend. The rules of trend is are you making higher highs and higher lows? No. Are you making lower highs and lower lows? Yes. The thing about January channel and January 22nd, 2021 is that you have these basic fractal landmarks of C, V, middle of W is your higher low iteration. So this is another C, wedge, wedge, S curve, higher low V. That's what would identify you further tracking. Forward tracking in these January iterations, you have higher lows. Why? Because it's tracking up into a new jet test. You are in the new jet test. What we're currently doing is, yes, we have that first iteration with a higher low V, great example. But then you're making a lower right side here of the W. Not to mention you're also still making lower highs. So this trend on this iteration is in an obvious downtrend. I would not be using any one of these iterations of the uptrend. You have touches of the 200 EMA, which is great. You had the same thing here for the tri-peak landmarks. You have the C peak of 2021, it touching the 200. It's the same idea. So that's all still fine. Everything else tracks